There's a moment most people don't talk about. A quiet, almost invisible moment where nothing has actually happened, and yet your mind begins to act as if something already has. You're just sitting there, maybe checking your phone, maybe waiting for a reply, maybe replaying something small that happened earlier in the day, and suddenly a thought appears. It doesn't arrive loudly, it doesn't announce itself, it just slips in gently. What if something is wrong? And before you even notice it, that one thought begins to grow. It stretches, it pulls in possibilities, it fills in gaps with things that haven't happened yet. What if they're upset with me? What if I said something wrong? What if this turns into a bigger problem? And just like that, your brain has built an entire future out of nothing. A future where things go badly, where people pull away, where situations fall apart. And the strange part is, even though none of it is real, your body reacts as if it is. Your heart beats a little faster, your chest tightens, your mood shifts, and now you're not just thinking the worst, you're feeling it too. If this happens to you often, it can feel exhausting. It can feel like your mind is constantly working against you, like it refuses to stay calm even when things are fine. But the truth is, your brain is not trying to hurt you. It's trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. It has learned, over thousands of years, that it is better to assume something might go wrong than to be caught off guard. So instead of waiting for real problems, it tries to predict them in advance. It tries to prepare you. The problem is, in today's world, most of the things it prepares you for never actually happen. And yet, you still go through the stress of living them in your mind. Think about how often this happens in everyday life. You send a message and don't get a reply. Instead of thinking they might be busy, your mind jumps ahead. Maybe they're ignoring me. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe they don't want to talk anymore. Or you walk into a room and someone doesn't acknowledge you. Instead of assuming they didn't notice, your brain builds a story. They're upset with me. They're judging me. I did something wrong. These stories feel real in the moment, not because they are true, but because your brain fills in missing information with the most emotionally charged possibility. And more often than not, that possibility is negative. Your brain doesn't like empty spaces. It doesn't like not knowing. Uncertainty feels uncomfortable, almost like a threat. So it tries to close that gap as quickly as possible. It tries to answer questions that don't yet have answers. And in doing so, it often chooses the worst-case scenario because that feels safer than not knowing at all. It feels like control. If I can imagine the worst, maybe I can prepare for it. Maybe I won't be surprised. But this habit slowly turns into a pattern, and that pattern turns into a way of thinking. You stop just considering what could go wrong, and you start expecting it. What makes this even more powerful is how convincing these thoughts feel. They don't feel like guesses. They feel like truth. Your brain presents them with confidence, almost like it has evidence, even when it doesn't. And because of that, you don't question them, you believe them, you react to them, you adjust your behavior based on something that hasn't even happened. You might pull away from someone before they can reject you. You might overthink your words before speaking. You might avoid situations entirely because your mind has already decided they will go badly. And over time, this creates a life that feels smaller, more controlled, but also more limited. There's also something else happening beneath the surface. Your brain is constantly trying to make sense of the world. It's a storytelling machine. Every situation, every interaction, every small detail gets turned into a narrative. And when information is missing, the brain doesn't wait. It fills in the blanks. But it doesn't fill them with neutral stories. It fills them with emotionally intense ones, because those are the ones that feel important. Those are the ones that grab your attention. So a delayed reply becomes a sign of rejection. A neutral expression becomes disapproval. A small mistake becomes a sign of failure. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to live inside stories your mind has created. For people who already have a tendency toward anxiety, this process becomes even stronger. The brain becomes more sensitive, more alert, more reactive. It starts to treat small uncertainties as big threats. It raises alarms more easily. even when there's no real danger. It's like having a smoke detector that goes off not just when there's a fire, but when there's a little bit of steam. Everything feels urgent, everything feels important, and because of that, it becomes harder to stay calm, harder to stay grounded, harder to trust that things might actually be okay. Modern life doesn't make this any easier. In fact, it amplifies it. You're constantly exposed to other people's lives, especially through social media, where everything looks polished and perfect. Everyone seems confident, successful, in control. And when you compare that to your own internal world, full of doubts and worst-case scenarios, it feels like you're the only one struggling. So when something small goes wrong, your brain exaggerates it even more. It turns it into proof that you're behind, that you're not doing enough, that something is wrong with you. But what you're comparing yourself to is not reality. It's a filtered version of it. And your brain, once again, builds a story around it. Another reason worst-case thinking feels so hard to escape is because it creates an illusion of preparation. It feels like you're being responsible, like you're thinking ahead, like you're ready for whatever happens. But in reality, most of this thinking doesn't prepare you. It just drains you. It takes your energy, your focus, your peace, and uses it to rehearse situations that may never exist. And by the time the actual moment arrives, you're already exhausted from thinking about it. There's also a deeper layer to this. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between imagination and reality. When you imagine something going wrong, your body reacts as if it is happening right now. Stress hormones are released, your heart rate changes, your muscles tense. So even though you're physically safe, your body is experiencing stress over something imagined. And when this happens repeatedly, it starts to affect your overall well-being. You feel tired more often. You find it harder to focus. You might even start to avoid situations just to escape the cycle. But here's the important part. Just because your brain creates these thoughts doesn't mean you have to follow them. Thoughts are not commands. They are not facts. They are simply mental events. And once you begin to see them that way, something shifts. Instead of getting pulled into every worst-case scenario, you start to observe it. You notice it. You recognize it for what it is, a prediction, not reality. The next time your mind jumps to the worst possible outcome, pause for a moment, not to fight the thought, not to suppress it, but to look at it. Ask yourself, what evidence do I actually have for this? Most of the time, the answer will be very little. The brain is guessing. It's filling in gaps. And once you see that, the thought loses some of its power. You can also gently shift your perspective. Instead of asking, what if everything goes wrong, ask what else could be true. What if they're just busy? What if the situation is neutral? What if things turn out fine? This doesn't mean forcing positivity. It just means allowing other possibilities to exist. Because the worst-case scenario is only one version of the future, not the only one. Learning to sit with uncertainty is another powerful step. Instead of trying to solve everything in your mind, allow yourself to not know. It feels uncomfortable at first, but over time, it becomes freeing. You realize that you don't need to predict every outcome to be okay. You don't need to prepare for every possibility to handle what comes. And most importantly, bring yourself back to the present. Worst-case scenarios live in the future. They are projections. But right now, in this moment, most of those fears are not happening. Look around. Notice where you are. Notice what is actually real. Often you'll find that in this exact moment, you are safe. Your brain will still create these thoughts from time to time. That's what it does. But you don't have to treat every thought as truth. You don't have to build your reality around every fear it presents. You can listen, acknowledge, and then choose not to follow it. Because the mind, as powerful as it is not always right. And sometimes, the scariest stories it tells are just stories. If even one part of this video made you feel understood, then this channel is for you. Subscribe to Clarity Hub and I'll see you in the next one.